Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Radically Real. I am so excited today to have Sarah with me. Sarah and I met on Instagram. Well, I pretty much stalked her until she came on my podcast. And Sarah is in Texas. She is a former teacher turned homeschooling or unschooling. I actually forget.
More like a unschooling approach, but kind of in the middle.
Yeah, I would say I'm definitely the
Yeah.
same. So, Sarah, tell everybody who you are and what you're up to.
Well, my name is Sarah, and like she said, I was a former teacher, and now I am homeschooling my son. I'm just trying to create more of a freedom-based life for us. I want him to have more choices. Yeah, just saw a lot of things in the classroom and just trying to change that up for him so he's not just following like one narrow path.
Yeah, totally. And we were talking a little bit before we came on. Can you tell everybody the reasons that sort of pushed you to do this lifestyle as a teacher? Because, we hear a lot, and you and I had just talked about this, is that people don't think the things that are happening in schools are happening, but they are happening.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I taught a few years before like COVID happened and all of that. And definitely saw some things that like were like kind of new to me that I was like not aware of. I we were talking about this, but I one of the first things I like saw was I taught kindergarten for a little bit, and there was a little girl who wanted to be a boy, and so we were supposed to address her that way. And so that was like kind of shocking to me. That was like brand new because like this isn't talked about like it is now. So I was just like, whoa. And then of course the next year it flipped. She then wanted to be a girl. So that was like my first like taste of that. I was just like, wow, okay, this is so different. So there was just like a few things like that. And then also like then I moved up to 4th grade and I just saw like the pressure of the testing and the anxiety and like all those things. And I was just like, wow, like these are just kids like coming here to learn. Like I don't know why it has to be like this hard for them. So that was like the academic side of it. And then of course, I saw like when you're mixing a bunch of different families and lifestyles together, I saw a lot of kids losing their innocence over the years just because they were exposed to things they weren't like shouldn't be. And we were
Yeah.
also one-to-one iPad, and that was so hard because it's like you're getting on there to like do techie stuff, but it's like kids were like exploring on there doing all things, and so you're just like constantly trying to walk around and monitor, and you can't do that when you have like 20 something kids. So that was
No,
another
for
thing, was
sure.
like they were being exposed to that and sharing that with others, and so like that was just like a whole thing. And then obviously like I had my son, COVID happened. I had time to like sit back and think about it. I was like, okay, is this really like where I want to put my son? Like after all the things I've seen, like, is this where I want him to go? And so, yeah, that was like a whole wake up call for me.
That's crazy, and I had a similar, story, which our listeners already know about, but it's like you hear these things and people tell you these things that are in the system. They're literally working in the system,
Mhm.
and people still refuse to believe that it's actually happening.
Yeah, it's wild.
Well, it's wild. It's like, how much more proof do you need that these things are actually happening in the school systems to understand why people are saying things like, we need to protect our children, we need to protect their innocence. Like, people are like, oh, you sound crazy. It's like, do I sound crazy for saying protect the children? Because if you think that sounds crazy, you might be part of the problem. Like,
And you
that's the
gotta
way I
look at
look
it
at it.
too, like, so many homeschoolers I meet were teachers, like, hello, like, if they're teachers and they're not willing to put their own kids in the system, then you have to start kind of asking questions, like, why are so many teachers now homeschooling their own kids? Like
Yeah, like, that has to say something. How they're not realizing it or seeing it or whatever the case is, and there's so many things that have come out about this type of stuff, and they're just like, "Oh, yeah, nope, that's not happening. That's not happening." I was like, they're literally being told to lie to the parents. That's what they're telling,
Mhm.
like, that's what's happening. Are you guys, like, just everyone who's saying it is lying or and wearing a tinfoil hat?
That's wild. I remember, there was a girl like, when I was taught 4th grade, there was a girl in my class who said she was a boy. This was like a whole 'nother situation, and she supposedly had a girlfriend in my class. I was like, "No, no, no, you don't." And I remember, like, because I was still kind of a new teacher, I was like, "Hey, like, I feel like I need to, like, call her mom and let her know, like, this is going on." And I remember they were like, "No, you can't call because that would be, like, you're discriminating." And I was just like, "What?" But I feel like the mom kind of needs to know what's going on, whether she's okay with it or not, like, And so that was just like, okay, wow, I would want to know that as a mom if that was happening in a classroom, you know? So yeah, just like you were saying, like they're told to like not say certain things. Yeah, that
It's well,
very
and it's
wild.
crazy to say and also to say that, like, parents don't have any rights.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I have every right to my child until he or she is 18 years old.
Mhm.
That's what it is. They're considered minors. They can make their own decisions after 18. Isn't that what everybody says? Isn't what the government says?
Yeah.
Like, how are we saying that parents don't have rights? There was a huge movement up here in Canada. I can't even remember when it was, but it was all about like parental rights, and so many people, like, I couldn't believe people fighting against it. It's like, you don't have a right to your child and you don't I was like, what are what
Wow.
timeline am I in right now? I don't understand. I don't understand. This is so freaking crazy. And I remember one of my friends, she's very on the left, and I still love her dearly. We get along great, but we do have very opposing views on certain
Mhm.
things. And she's like, yeah, but like, you have to protect these kids, protect trans kids, and protect gay kids and LGBTQIA 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kids. And I'm like, they're kids. Like, do you
Yeah.
hear what you're saying? They're freaking children. She's like, oh, well, you don't know what kind of house they're going home to. I said, 99% of homes are not racist, homophobic bigots.
Mhm. No.
There are accepting, loving people. There's way more accepting people than there are that aren't.
Mhm.
And she just completely disagreed with me. But I also have an aunt who was a teacher and a principal and all of these things. And she feels the same way. She's like, oh no, you have to protect the child. I would want to protect the child. And I was like, that's not protecting the child.
No.
That's
That's not.
s- that's not a safe secret. Nope.
Mm-mm.
There's
No.
nothing safe about that, and it's terrifying.
Yeah, and like you're saying, like, I feel like the parents have a right to know, like, they're sending their kid off to school and then what? Like, these things are happening and they just don't know about it? Like, that's kind of scary.
And just like I had told you before, administrators being told to lie. If the
Mhm.
parents ask, you can't tell them the truth. And then you're basically teaching children to lie.
Mhm.
And that no one's going to accept you. Your family will hate you. They're not going to accept you. They're like,
Well, and
let's
then I
be
feel like that's
honest.
breaking the family unit, like, that's what they want, though. I mean, they ultimately
I
want that's
agree.
why they send the kids to school and send both parents working because they don't want the family close and knitted. Because if you have a close family, like, that's going against the system.
Well,
Um,
yes, and if you sterilize and mutilate children, they won't be able to reproduce, and that's a form of population control. I realize how crazy that sounds, but
yeah.
they've basically told us that. What we've seen in the
Mhm.
Epstein files and things that are coming out about Bill Gates, like, guys, they've said this out loud.
Yeah. Yeah, that's their whole
It's
point.
That's their whole point,
Mhm.
and it's freaking terrifying. But
Mhm.
I love to hear these stories from teachers like yourself because people need to get loud about this topic
Mhm.
because it's number one, it's an important one, but they need to hear it from people that have experienced it firsthand.
Mhm.
Like it's so important for people to be loud and proud about this. And I get messages like, "Oh, I love that you speak up about this and you're so right." It's like, "Why don't you say anything?"
Yeah,
Did people say that to you?
about
About just
speaking up.
speaking up about the things that you speak up about?
Like, why do I do that? Or
Or that
sorry, I
they're
missed
they
that part.
say they no, so they say that, like, they think it's great that you speak up about those things, but they don't want to.
Oh, yeah. I feel like I've never had anybody come out and say that, but I feel like when you do speak out, you are kind of being a voice for others who feel that way or think that way, but just like aren't saying it out loud. Cause I've had so many people like just like and say things about like things I'm sharing because they agree with it. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think could possibly be some of the backlash you get on social media too, because you're going to get hate, you're going to get the crazy bots and the people coming out. So I think some
God,
people
yeah.
are scared to like speak out and say things because they are afraid of like the backlash or having to deal with that, but they do think that way as well. But yeah, social media can be crazy sometimes whenever you're sharing those things because you either have people that are like, heck yeah, I agree with you, or like the complete opposite and they like want you to die.
Yes. Yeah. I've had all of those things happen. I had a comment the other day about someone said that I'm gonna be traumatizing my kids with all the conspiracy theories, like basically saying like I shouldn't be homeschooling my kids because I'm gonna traumatize them. It's like, do you
Mhm.
think that I teach like stand there and teach them about
Yeah.
the world being run by satanic baby
Right.
eating pedophiles, even though that's what's happening? Do you think I
Yeah.
tell
Like
them
we're gonna
that?
say that to our kids. What was crazy though is in school, they have access to phones and iPads, and you don't think they are talking about that at school with each other or showing each other. I
They
mean,
100% are.
yes, so it's like we're homeschooling to, like, kinda keep their innocence and protect them, like you said, we're not sitting here, like, saying all these things to them, but we are aware, and that's pretty much why we are homeschooling and doing things differently, because if they were at school, I promise you, as a teacher, they are going to be exposed to that, they are going to share that because they're either finding it on the internet somewhere or they're hearing it at home and they're bringing it to school, and so if you don't want your kid to know about that, they're probably gonna know about it.
They're gonna know, yeah, they're gonna know about it
Yes.
at school because that's where they're
Yes.
freaking learning half of the shit. And
Yes.
it I just like I had to laugh at the comment. I made a video about it. You'll have to check it out because like I mean I thought it was really funny. I think I'm really funny. Maybe people don't. I don't actually care. But I made a response to it and I was just like lesson number one, and then I talked about all of like the craziest shit that conspiracy
Yeah.
theorists thinks like as if I would stand there and do that. Like I'm looking at the school wall right now. There's a clock, teach them, time and the days of the month, and let's
Mhm.
see what else we got. The alphabet up there, how to spell the days of the week. Like, come on,
Mhm.
guys. It's there's not a picture of like Jeffrey Epstein and Bill
Yeah.
Gates up there. Like, it's like they think that like we would do that, and I think that that's you know there's a stigma around homeschooling if you look at homeschooled kids that were, in the 90s or something like that. I'm older, right? So I'm 44 and I had my kids later in life because I had a business. So like if you look at homeschooled kids from like way back in the day, it's just it's not the same as it is today because now it's
Mm-mm.
so much more popular to do.
Mhm. Yeah, there's so many resources you have, and like I said, there's, so many teachers now homeschooling, so it's like y'all can get together and help each other. It's not just like you're doing this all alone.
Yeah, well, and people always say things like, "Oh, but they won't be socialized." And I'm like, "Listen,
Gosh.
when my kids are at an event of some kind with other kids, whether they're school kids, homeschool kids, whatever the case is, they are so social."
Mhm. That one always makes me laugh. I mean, for one, when I taught in the classroom, there wasn't a lot of time to sit there and socialize. Like, yeah, we got to talk to each other, but I mean, it's fast paced. You're sitting there learning. It's not like you're just freely getting to talk. And then another thing that always makes me laugh is it's like, okay, well, how do your kids socialize when they're on summer break or they're on weekends? Like, how do they socialize? It's the
Yeah,
same way we
the
socialize. We
same way.
socialize every day in life. And so that one
I
always makes
know.
me laugh. It's like they think we're just like in a cave in a bubble and we don't go do anything.
Yes, I keep them locked up in the basement and I don't let
Yes,
them see
people
the
just
light of
have
day.
they think the only way to socialize is going into a classroom with 20 other kids your same age, and it's just ridiculous that that's the only way to socialize. It's just that's what they've taught us.
Yeah, well, that's exactly programmed us to think that that's the only
Mhm.
way, and that is so false. And that is like one of the ones that I hear, of course, all the time. Oh, what? How do you socialize? And I was like, well, we do leave the house, and they have
Yeah.
swimming lessons, and
Yeah.
they have friends. They go to the park. If they wanted to sign up for sports, I'd let them. They have no interest.
Mhm.
Um, if they're parked, they're always my daughter. I almost said her name. I try not saying my kids' names on. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
my daughter will meet someone at the park and be like, "Oh, I have a new friend."
Yes.
Like it's. I don't. I guess I understand why they ask because they're comparing it to a generation of homeschool kids from like the 90s. They have nothing to
Mhm.
really I guess they have nothing to really compare it to, but that is, yeah, definitely one of the stigmas where I'm just like, I don't know why you would think that, but okay. Like, and when it's someone that I know, I'm like, does she not seem social to you? And they're like, well, no. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. So like, why are you even asking me that? It's super silly.
Yeah, just like you said, I just feel like they brainwash us that that's the only way to socialize, and it's so silly. Like, I would rather my son socialize with many different people than just only learning from a 30, like 5-year-olds or whatever, like that just sounds crazy to me that that's the only way to socialize.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're right. Like they brainwash us to think that the school way is the only way. So you go to
Mhm.
school from 9 to 5 or whatever the hours are, 8 to 3 or whatever the hours are every single
Mhm.
day. It's like we know what they're training them for. They're training them to be working class zombies
Yeah.
and to not have any freedom of thought.
Mhm.
And we
Exactly.
say that and people are like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Are you okay?"
Well, what's so funny is, like, there's so many adults, like, that I talk to that, like, are not happy with their job or they're working or just whatever things are going on, and so they're looking for ways to, like, escape that and get more freedom, and it's like but then we're sending our kids into that same system where we know what the outcome is, so it's like, why would we not want to change things up and give them more freedom? My hope is my son seeing, flexible schedule and just kinda getting to go off his interests and stuff, that's gonna give him drive to, like, really focus on what he wants to do so that he doesn't feel like, "Well, I have to go to college, and I have to get a job, and I have to do this, and I have to follow this path." Like, I don't want him to feel, like, trapped, like he only has to, do that one path. I want him to have more choices, and so I feel like a lot of homeschoolers, like, that's why they are homeschooling is because they want their kids to feel like they have more choices and more freedom.
Well, absolutely, and I think that there's a big misconception that the school is the only way, but really, if you look at how kids learn even before they start school, it's all interest-based learning.
Yes, yes.
They do the things that they love. Like, for instance, my daughter, she loves flowers, gardening, all of
Mhm.
those things. Like, she freaking loves it. And if we go to the garden house, she's
Aw.
picking up the petals off the
Mhm.
floor. She loves to carry the petals. And a couple summers ago, she was making paintings with the petals. So she was like rubbing the colored petals onto
Yeah.
paper and just making paintings and just doing things like kids learn better when they're interested in the thing that they're doing,
Mhm.
whether it's
Yes.
playing or whatever it is, they learn that way. How the hell do you think they learn all the way up to the time that they have to go to school?
Mhm.
It's like,
Exactly.
yeah, and we have to remember we taught our kids how to walk, how to talk, how to
Mhm.
wipe their butt. Like, we teach
I was
them
just gonna
freaking
say that.
everything.
Mhm. Yeah, we teach them so much, and then somewhere we think, "Oh, we can't, teach them life skills or anything else." Like, we have to send them off, which they don't even learn life skills in school, but, um yeah, it's wild that we can parent them in all other ways, but when it comes to, teaching them, it's like, "Oh, no, I have to send them to school. I have to send them off to." Well, that's another thing is that makes me laugh is they're like, "Oh, you have to be a certified teacher to teach your kids." It's like, "No, you don't." Like, yes, I went and I got my teaching degree, but when I got to classroom, I was not prepared, like, what I was gonna teach the kids. I was handed a curriculum, and that's what I followed. So it's like, if any parent can follow a curriculum, which there's tons out there, like, you can teach your kid at home. You don't have to have a certification. And so, yeah, that's another thing that a lot of people have a myth on is that, like, you're not certified in that area. And
It's
also,
like,
I'm
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
like, do you not, like, have faith in yourself that, like, you couldn't learn that to teach your child? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and so you're gonna send them
Yeah.
into the same system where you don't feel equipped to teach them. But yeah, that's another big thing I always hear about too, is like, "Oh, you're not certified. You can't teach your kid."
Like, well, whatever.
Mhm.
Like, some of the stuff that I have to teach, right now, it's just my daughter, and then my son will be coming into, kindergarten in September, so we'll start just with, like, letters and coloring and
Mhm.
stuff like that. But, some of the stuff that I'm teaching her in grade 2, I have to look up.
Yeah.
I just look it up. I'm like, "I actually don't know the answer to this." And it just goes to show that the stuff that we learned, we didn't we didn't take that all in, and it doesn't
Mm-mm.
stay with you forever. And I'm talking like
No.
some like stupid things. I won't even say them out loud because I'll sound absolutely fucking ridiculous. But but it's like I just look it up. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then I'm like, oh, I guess I learned something today too. It, any piece of knowledge that they need to learn in school can be searched online now.
Yes.
Any little, I mean, it's all lies, but if we're looking at math or literacy or just whatever the basic things that we have to teach them, it's all freaking available to you.
Yeah. Well, just like you were saying, whenever like teaching yourself again, whenever I was teaching, there was things I had to look up too. Like I'm like, okay, well, I'm about to teach this lesson. Like I'm not sure on that. I haven't done that since I was in fourth grade. And so yeah, so it's just like reteaching yourself. And it's like if you don't feel equipped to teach your own child, then why are you going to send them back into the same system that you went through? Like just
That's
ask
such a
yourself
good
that.
point. It's like, yeah, like such a good point. And it's funny that people like it, I do believe it comes back to, that's what we think that we have to do, so that's what we do. And it's I mean, it's just true. I don't care what anyone says, it's just true. You don't want to see it that way, don't see it that way. But
Mhm.
it's absolutely what it is. And I've lost a lot of friends in this journey, and I'm okay with it because
Mhm.
I don't want people that aren't aligned in my life anyway. And just doing this podcast and like I said, and showing up online, just posting whatever the fuck I want. I call it being a
Yeah.
salty cunt. Um, brings amazing like-minded people into your life, and I think that a lot of people want to stand in a truth, but they're just really afraid to like step outside of that box
Mhm.
because of the backlash that you receive. And well, it's like you said earlier, like I get called all kinds of things online. I get called a
Mhm.
racist, a bigot, a homophobic,
Mhm.
transphobic. I have trans people on my freaking podcast.
Yeah.
I'm not a freaking transphobic. I just think they should stop cutting healthy body parts off of children.
Yeah.
um eh, you get called every single thing, but it's interesting when you stand in that truth, the right people just show up in your life.
Mhm. They really
I'm
do.
sure
And like
when
you
you
said,
start.
you kinda lose friends and people along the way maybe that don't align with you, but that's also why I love this space because you get to connect with people all over the world that, like, resonate with you or feel that same way, and so it's like we kinda have, like, our own community, I guess, here in this space, and we're able to share similar views and similar lifestyles.
Well, yeah, and you know, it's funny, like a lot of the guests that I've had on were like, "Oh, you want my phone number?" And like I can text them and I can ask questions, or they can text me and say, "Hey, like I'm learning this.
Yeah.
Do you have a curriculum for this or whatever?" Like it's so cool,
Mhm.
you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it doesn't matter what country you're in because they all have to learn the same shit.
Yeah.
But it is incredible the amount of community that you find, and I just wish more people would, you know, talk about what they believe in, stand up for their truth and all of that stuff and not be so scared. But it's interesting the fear that they have. It's like that was literally planted inside of you.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh, can't say this, can't do that, can't. Oh,
Mhm.
that's wrong. You can't question this, you can't question that. It's like, why the fuck can't I?
Yeah,
It's because
exactly. I feel like
yeah, they.
that's ingrained in us at a young age. Like, don't say the wrong answer. Like, don't do this, don't do that. And so, yeah, you just grow up in this fear mode of like, or like even just being judged too. Like, I feel like you get that in school too, because like you're constantly comparing yourself to other kids. Well, I don't know that yet, or I don't know this, or just like learning levels, you know? And I feel like so you're constantly in that comparison mode. So I feel like so many people are fearful of like stepping out there because they're fearful of being judged and what others may say. So I think that's like a huge part too to play.
Yeah, like with bullying, and I think another
Yeah.
aspect of be keeping your kids home is the amount of bullying they receive. Like I was
Mhm.
telling you before we hopped on, a friend of mine's daughter was being bullied, and they were calling her fat. She's 9. You're 9 years old. No one needs to be calling you fat or telling you fat, and she's
No.
internalizing it, and she's sad about it,
And
and
that's
it's
gonna
like
stick with her. Yeah.
that's gonna
Because
stick with her.
yeah, everything that's happening now whenever they're young, like, is their everything. That's, like, their whole world at that moment, you know, they don't see, like, beyond that. So those little things are like well, that just breaks my heart.
I know it breaks my heart too, and for people to think that like kids aren't easily influenced like that when it comes to some of the ideology is so false. It's like they absolutely are influenced, just like they're influenced by
Mhm,
their peers. Listen, you go to school, you see your friend wearing the cool Nikes. What do you want?
mhm.
You want the cool Nikes. You
Yeah.
go to school, you see your friend wearing the cool jacket. You want the jacket. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because they're impressionable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Period. Like it just that's what it is. And
Mhm.
if we look at our lives, like I remember this was in the 90s, early 90s, and everyone had those like the jackets that were like a sports team. I had the Chicago Bulls one cuz I loved
Mhm.
Michael Jordan. How old are you? You're much younger than me. I know that.
About to turn 39.
So you
So
were
so
close. So
I know about the
you know
90s.
what I'm you
Yeah.
know about the jacket that I'm talking about,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So, you know, everybody had one. And then there was a time when the Adidas jackets came out and
Mhm.
it was like a half zip and then it had like the Adidas symbol on the pocket,
Mhm.
and there was like a everyone had that jacket, and then when you put your arms out it was like the whole Adidas symbol, but everybody freaking had one. You know, I remember I had one that was maroon and navy blue, and then there was someone had white and navy or black. Everyone wanted the black and white one, but you could never get it. But the following of the fashion is a perfect example of how children are impressionable.
Mhm. Yes, it's such
They
an
want the
impressionable
coolest shoes.
age. Mhm.
Yes. So if we're teaching these ideologies, they're gonna start to get confused.
Mhm.
Like, why are we showing them that? Do you
Yes.
still have teacher friends in the system?
Um, I'm not really, like, close to any of them. like you kinda said, when you kinda start sharing your views and going a different route, and some people, like, are still in the system, and maybe they might think that way, but maybe they also just, like, don't see it that way because they're in the system. Like, that's like when I was teaching, like, I didn't really see it that way. I saw some things I was like, "Hmm, that's kind of questionable," and then when I sat back and had time to think about it, I was like, "Okay, yeah, this isn't right." But I do have, some friends that were teachers who are homeschooling, so I have that side of it, which I'm so grateful for because we can really bond over that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really talk to, teachers I used to work with or anything like that. But I do have so many teachers that come through and are just like, I'm so tired of the system. Like, I want to get out. I want to homeschool. So I do have that.
Yeah, yeah, and the more and more you see that the more teachers that leave the system, I wish they were so much more loud about it so
Mhm.
that people could see what's actually happening. It's like, how many people have to say this in order for you guys to see it? The teachers are saying it. There's even like Gays Against Groomers. They have come out. There's a whole like network of gay people that are saying that the ideology is insane and needs to be kept out of schools. How many people need to say it in order for people to
Mhm.
believe it?
Right. I feel like some people are just gonna have to like, it's gonna have to hit them hard for them to, like, wake up and see it, whether that be, sadly, something happening at school or whatever the case. Like, I feel like some people have to, like, physically see something for them to believe it. But yeah, so many teachers are coming out and homeschooling, and you have to ask why. Like, we went into teaching for a love of teaching and learning. And so it's like, if we get there and we don't even want to send our own kids there, then it's like you have to start asking questions of like, why are they not, teaching still?
Yeah, yeah. And like the gaslighting is real because when I talk about the things that literally teachers and administrators told me in my chair
Mhm.
and just saying, "Oh, that didn't happen." I'm like, "So I'm lying or they're lying? Like why on earth would someone lie about why they quit their job?"
Mhm. Right.
Like,
And it's a huge sacrifice, like, teachers
yes.
don't get paid, like, a lot, but we get paid good, and so that it's a huge sacrifice for me to then say, "Okay, I'm not gonna teach anymore, I'm gonna give up that income, and I am going to stay home with my son." Like, that's a huge sacrifice, and you wouldn't just do that just to do it, like, there's, like, a whole reason behind it, so that's, like, another thing too.
Well, I can speak to that too because I closed my business and I
Yeah.
walked away from a multiple six-figure business. And people, because you also get the comments that are like, "Well, it must be nice to be able to stay home and blah blah blah." And I'm like,
Mhm.
Yeah, it's nice to fucking live paycheck to paycheck, and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like it is the ultimate sacrifice. I gave up everything to be
Mhm.
able to be home with these kids and give them, a more freedom-based lifestyle and freedom to think and freedom of thought and all of those things. And like those are a lot of the reasons for me as well is just like I want them to be able to have freedom of thought, a freedom-based lifestyle
Mhm.
where they get to choose, where they're not being told what to do all the time. But
Mhm.
it was the ultimate sacrifice to be able to do this. Like not all homeschool families are just like, living it up in the lap of
Mhm.
luxury and
Yeah,
like nope. It's
exactly. It's a huge
it's
sacrifice to do that for your children, you know? Um, yeah, like, most teachers aren't just gonna, like, quit their job and be like, "Alright, I think I'm just gonna, homeschool now and just give that up." Like, there's a whole, like, reason behind it.
Yeah, yeah, and again, goes back to people not understanding that. It's like,
Mhm.
if so many people are turning to this, wouldn't you want to know why? Wouldn't you wanna do a little bit of research and figure out what is going on
Mhm.
to have an entire movement of people that are saying, "This is not good."
Yeah. It's funny too, just going back to sacrificing. I've had comments where people are like, "Oh, well, you're just, lazy or whatever. That's why you want homeschool." And it just makes me laugh because it's like, okay, if I wanted it easier, I would go send my son off to a teacher where she is with them all day, and then I just get the evenings and the weekends. And if I wanted it easier, I would do that. So that comment cracked me up because I'm like, okay, I'm lazy for wanting to take control of my son's education and be with him 24/7 and teach him. No,
Yeah.
I think it's the other way. If I wanted it, easier, I would send him off all day and then he would come home for dinner and I'd get him on the weekends.
Yeah,
That one's
yeah,
wild too.
I've heard them all. I've heard them all, and I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm just so freaking lazy. Like being a full time parent, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week is
Yeah.
lazy. Okay,
Yeah.
you obviously are brainwashed for even freaking
Yeah.
thinking that in the first place. Because it's like I have a 19-month old, a 4-year old, and a 7-year old. So sometimes my baby girl, she's up at like 6 a.m. and I let the
Mhm.
other two wake up whenever they want,
Yeah.
which is another great thing. Like we have freedom to
Mhm.
do that. But it's like, it's exhausting. It is
Yeah.
freaking exhausting. And then I'm, planning on Sundays. I get everything together. I use a lot of AI to create curriculum that like
Mhm.
on things that they have to learn. So
Yeah.
social studies, mathematics, language arts, and science. So,
Mhm.
I have to prepare that on Sundays and do all of that. And then I have to plan school around nap time because I can't do school when,
Mhm.
baby girl is running around like you
Yeah.
can't do it. It's a sacrifice of time.
Mhm.
I've sacrificed money, and I was a multiple six-figure business. I was
Yeah.
racking it in. Like, just gonna give that up just
Yeah.
because, oh yeah, I'm gonna be lazy and stay home with my
Yeah.
kids all the time.
Yeah. Just goes back to people are brainwashed like that. It just makes me laugh, like, so sending your kids off to somebody all day and you getting the evenings and the weekends is, noble, I guess, but you wanting to take ownership and, keep your kids close is just crazy and wild. Like, yeah, it just blows my mind.
I know, I know. And it's so backwards to think that
Mhm. It
people
really
like you
is.
and I are crazy
Yeah.
for wanting this. And it's just like, do you realize how crazy you sound for thinking that I'm crazy?
Yeah.
You're literally proving the point. Now, I will say some people simply can't do it, and I get that. They can't. They either they can't afford it or some people just they can't. But there's also some people that are unwilling to give up
Mhm.
their lifestyle, if you will, to be able to do it. And then
Yeah.
when people say things, and I know you're going to agree with me on this one, when people are like, "Oh, I could never spend that much time with my kids."
Oh gosh, yes. That one blows my mind. I've had people tell me that when I tell them I'm homeschooled. They're like, "Oh, I could never be all home with my kids all day." I'm like, "What? That is just so sad. Like, why
Doesn't it
why
make
can
you
you
feel
not wanna be
sad?
around your Yeah, why would you not wanna be around your kids and your family?" But I think again, it's just another thing of us being brainwashed and sending our baby off actually, 6-month-old or even less, sending them off and going to work, like, we've just been so conditioned that that's the way that, like, it's like, "Wow, no, I couldn't imagine being home with my kid all day." So sad.
I think it's sad, and then so when people say that to me, I go, "Oh, would you say that to your kids?"
Yeah, hopefully not.
Could you imagine saying that to your kid? "Oh, I could never spend all
Mm,
day with you."
no. So
If you
sad.
would not say that to your kid, you probably shouldn't say it out loud.
No, no.
Right?
Yeah,
It
I've
makes
definitely
me
had people say that, and I'm just like, "What? Like, why? Why would you not wanna be with your family all day?"
I know. And I feel for people in the US because you guys in the States only get 6 weeks at home with your baby.
Mhm.
Then you're passing your little tiny infant off to a daycare. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. That was
That is
another thing
insane.
is, um, I got off just, like, that little bit of time, and then I actually extended my maternity leave, and I wasn't gonna get paid because I was like, "I don't care, like, I wanna stay home with him longer," which, honestly, when I was pregnant, like, I didn't even, like, I wasn't planning on homeschooling, I wasn't planning on doing all of that. I was like, "Oh, I'll just get somebody to watch him," because I kinda had that thinking too, "Get somebody to watch him, and I'll go to teaching, it'll be fine." But then when I actually, like, held him and I saw, like I think I was supposed to go back when he was, like, 3 months, I saw how, like or 4, I don't remember how old he was, but he was still little, and when I saw how little he was, I was like, "I'm supposed to go, like, hand my baby off to somebody else to be with him all day and then, like, go teach and then pay for that?" Like, it just felt, like, so backwards, and so, yeah, that was another thing. I was just like, "No, I can't go hand my baby off and go to work all day and then pay for that person to get that time with my baby." That's another thing, yeah,
Mhm.
the maternity leave is just awful for moms. They just
It
expect
is.
you to have your baby and then just hand them off and go to work like it's nothing, like you didn't just have a baby.
Yeah,
I've
they
even had
definitely need to
moms
fix that.
Yes, I've even had moms tell me that, their work was giving them a hard time about, like, pumping and things like that for their baby, and it's just like it's just so sad the way they treat moms.
I know, and so here in Canada, you can either have 12 months or 18 months. You get unemployment for that time. So if you take the 18 months, you just get lesser pay over that time period. But I always tell moms that have to go back to work, take the 18 months, take the less money, take as much
Mhm,
freaking time as you can. If you have to go back to work, take as much time as humanly possible with that
mhm.
child before you send them to a daycare. Now, because I was doing so well, I had to go back pretty quickly because it was my business. Like, I can't take a year off.
Yeah,
And like, I'm a
yeah.
hairstylist. I'd lose my whole clientele if I did that. Or I
Mhm,
lost quite a bit of clients. And I only took, when my first was born, I only took 6 weeks off. I was back to work after 6 weeks. But my mother in law would come over on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And then my husband was home on Saturdays. So those were the days that I was working just part time. And
mhm,
then when my firstborn was 7 months old, I brought in a nanny who was a really good friend of mine.
mhm.
So she was there. That gave me comfort that I wasn't sending her, number one, out of the home
Yeah.
and into someone else's home and with someone that I don't really know. So God bless Amanda because like she was with me until the day that we moved to the here, and
Mhm.
I was like, I wish I could take you with me
Yeah.
because she helped me, raise the first two, and she was so sad. She goes, "I can't believe I'm not gonna help you raise this one, like the third one, because then we moved when my last baby was 4 weeks old.
Mhm.
Um, but I was really fortunate to be able to have her there, so I didn't have to send them off because I couldn't take a full mat leave. I just wasn't possible. But if
Mm.
parents are able to, if you're Canadian and you're able to do that, just do it. Like the
Yeah.
more time you get with them, the better. Again, that lifestyle is not for everybody, but for me, like, I can't imagine my life any other way. Now, I think and I'm sure you're the same too, it's like when your husband comes home, like, you wanna leave the house by yourself for a little bit. It's not like, like, we want some time alone, but, like, if having no time alone wasn't an option, I would be okay with it,
Yeah.
you know,
Same. Yeah. Yeah,
right?
I'm blessed with family and husband and all of that, but like you said, if I didn't have that, I'd be okay because I'm home with my son. I know he's safe. He's in a safe environment. He's with me. Um, but this is like a whole nother topic, but just going back to like maternity leave and stuff, like all the things that are coming out with daycare and like who you're leaving your baby with, like that part is so sad to me too. Like you just truly you cannot trust those people. Like and even when I was teaching, like I might maybe met the parent one time. So the parent is leaving their child with me 24/7 and I maybe met them one time. Like you don't know who you're leaving
Yeah,
your kids
yeah,
with. That's a whole like a whole nother thing too.
I know, and it's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm gonna go, like, meet some, daycares," and yeah, they go there for, like, 20 minutes, get a tour of the house, and like,
Yeah.
a vibe check.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, and this is terrifying, she had her daughter at a daycare, a home daycare, which they thought was gonna be amazing, only to find out that the husband, like, they found out after the baby was already there, that the husband was a registered sex
Oh
offender.
my gosh.
Yeah.
So scary.
Isn't that terrifying? And this lady runs a daycare.
Oh my gosh. That should not be legal.
That should not be legal.
No, she should not be able to do that.
Isn't that
Or that
insane?
knowledge should be out there. Yeah, she's not gonna get any business, but that should be out there. Like,
Well,
she shouldn't just keeping that
she
from parents.
keeping that from parents,
Yeah.
and it's like I'll never forget what my friend told me. I was like, "Oh my god."
That's
So
horrible.
another reason why I was so lucky to be able to have,
Mhm.
Amanda with us for all of that time. The kids didn't have to leave the house, you know?
No. Well, that's just things coming out about teachers too, like messing with kids and all kinds of things, like, that's a whole other topic as well of you and
Mhm.
I always tell people that, I'm like, "You these are strangers you're leaving your kids with, like, you can cut it and spin it however you want, but it's literally a stranger you were leaving your kid with. And I even saw like a post that said something about like if you wouldn't leave your like bank account or your keys or wallet with that person, then why are you leaving your children with that person? Like they are more precious than those things.
Well, and I think that that comes back to the brainwashing, right? It's
Yeah.
just like it they've literally brainwashed you to think that that is okay.
Mhm.
And I knew when it was time for me to go back to work, I was like I was okay because of my mother-in-law, but
Yeah.
after that thinking of trying to find her a daycare, and I did think about it, and I was like, "Oh,
Mhm.
I think I'm just gonna see if Amanda wants to come work for me," and I paid her very
Yeah.
well, an hourly wage, and, it would have been cheaper for me to probably have her in daycare at the time,
Yeah.
but I didn't care.
Mm-mm.
I didn't care. I was like I didn't have a choice. I had to be at the business because it's my business. Can't not show up
Yeah.
to my own business with my
Yeah.
staff.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have it any other way. And I think for me, that's when the veil started to sort of lift for me in looking at like the entire system and looking at how everything was. And I don't regret sending her to the Montessori for the
Yeah.
junior kindergarten and senior kindergarten because she got a beautiful foundation for learning.
Mhm.
Montessori is an incredible way for children to learn and
Yeah.
all of that. But I knew that when she was done uh, senior kindergarten, that I wasn't sending her to school,
Yeah.
and that's when we pulled the plug on everything and walked away.
Yeah. I've even had parents say, I'll send them elementary years, but then after that, like, I don't want them to go into like middle school or high school, like, because I mean, they just see everything that happens. But I mean, they learn a lot in elementary school too. So,
Yeah, and the other thing we have to look at that's happening more so in the States is like these shootings.
oh, yeah.
That is insane. There was one in BC not that long ago, in British Columbia. I'm sure you heard about it. It was a
Mhm.
transgender,
Mhm.
trans woman or whatever.
Mhm.
Serious mental health issues. Like they had several mental health calls to that
Mhm.
house over the period of a few years, and um that's kinda terrifying. The people
Mhm.
th so we have, socialized healthcare, so everyone's like, "Oh, you're so lucky your healthcare is paid for." I'm like, "Well, yeah, you can't get help though."
Yeah. It's like a
Um,
long wait.
in order to get psychiatry covered by your province, there's a 2-year wait,
Mm.
but they'll just pop you on blockers or whatever hormones or whatever
No
they're giving
wait.
whatever the frickin' they're giving you
Yeah.
with no wait.
That's crazy.
I know, and then you get things like this, you look at these scenarios
Mhm.
and you think that, like, "Listen, you've been pregnant, I've been pregnant." You turn
Mhm.
into a psychopath,
Yeah.
like, you cry at everything. These types of hormones that people are taking mess with you,
Mhm.
and people just, "Yeah, yeah, I was gonna take this," and I did a podcast recently with a detransitioner.
Mhm.
And she told me that at one point, so she was transitioning to be male, and she said that the testosterone was number 1, it was killing her, and it was making her
Oh.
insane. She's like, "At one point, I thought I was a robot."
Oh my gosh. Well, I can imagine you're, like, literally trying to alter.
Your chemical makeup.
Yes. Yes. So imagine what that's doing to you. Like, they don't probably tell them the side effects. They're just like, "Yeah, here you go."
They give you a packet. The podcast that's coming out on Tuesday, one of the trans women that I talked to, um, she said they give me this packet, and when you're there and you're going for the hormones, you just want the hormones. You don't care what the packet says.
Yeah.
You just sign the packet that says yep, and then 20 minutes later, she walked out with a script for estrogen. And now she was an adult when she made these decisions, which
Yeah.
is why I think it's okay. So I don't. The other thing is, I believe that being trans is very real. I don't think that children should be given anything until they're old enough past 25 to make these choices for themselves,
Mhm.
like, as adults. But there are some things that, like, she says now, she's like, "I'm completely sterile, so if I ever wanted to have a child, I can't." And those are things that she feels should have been discussed
Mhm.
and not just in this huge informed consent package that you sign off
Yeah.
on. And you gotta think parents are probably just signing the same thing so they can get it for their
Yeah.
kids.
So sad. I totally agree. The kids should be left alone. If they wanna make that decision when they're adults, then whatever, but we should not be pushing that on kids, and I also feel like, um, this is pushed on kids because I don't think kids are necessarily, I don't know, confused or whatever. I just feel like there's so much around them that and kids change every day too. Like that's another thing. Like their emotions change every day. But yeah, I totally agree. I don't feel like that should be pushed on like kids at all. Like if you're an adult and you're trying to make those decisions, then whatever, but definitely leave the kids alone.
Like, leave the kids alone, and then I
Mhm.
think if you have a problem with people saying, "Leave the kids alone," you are the problem. You're the
Yeah.
problem. Like,
Yes,
what about
seriously.
that bothers you so much when
That should
people say
not
that?
be controversial, like, messing with kids. Just let them be kids, like,
Oh, like,
give them space.
we always do, like, the little board thing when we start a new school year, and,
Mhm,
I think every year, my daughter's put something different, like, she wanted to be a pet doctor, or she put pizza maker, or she's put hairstylist, this year she was talking about being an astronaut, and I'm like, "Well, I probably have to tell you that the Earth's flat,"
yeah,
but anyways.
yeah.
I was like, "Yeah,
It's a
you
whole
can be
'nother
an
topic.
you can be an astronaut." Anyways, but that's like they change their minds so often,
Mhm,
and, I had another friend whose very young daughter, wanted to identify as a man, as a boy,
mhm,
and she allowed that to happen, and then was also, you know how if you don't take your placebo birth control, you just don't get a
mhm,
period? So they were
mhm.
doing that. They were making sure that she wouldn't get a period. But well, guess what? Guess what? She doesn't want to be a girl or a boy. Yep. So it's like kids are impressionable because they hear something at school and they think that
Yes.
it's gonna make them more popular or fit in
I
with a
was gonna
certain
say
group of
that some
people.
people do that for attention, like, they're not getting attention, so they're like, "Oh, if I do this, that'll be a way I get attention." They might not necessarily be, like, putting that together in there because 'cause they're kids, but that is what it I feel like a lot of it is,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's so sad, like, instead of sitting down and talking to them and figuring out, like, to the core, like, what's going on, it's just like, "Okay, yeah, you wanna be a boy," like, no.
Yeah, well, you can be whatever you want. Some days
Mhm.
you might feel that's that story. There's a book that they have out. Some days you might feel like a
Gosh.
girl, and other days you might feel like a boy. Some days you're not sure what you are, so you're just a they. Well,
Oh my word.
I'm
No.
sorry, what? I'm sorry, what? They're just a
Yeah.
what? There's another book that really bothers me, and it's In My Daddy's Belly.
Gosh.
It's like a book about a trans man having a baby, and it's like two dads on the cover, and then like the one dad's
Uh,
got like I was like, well, you are a woman.
yeah.
Like let's not say we're racing women. Like say it without saying it. Like that's what's happening.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine.
I
I
know.
know
Have you seen
another
that book?
mom I feel like yes, I feel like I have seen that. And I was just like, "Oh my gosh." I know, another mom that moved, because she thought the school system was gonna be better, and I remember her telling me she's homeschooling now. She said in, like, 1st grade, I believe, there was a book about, like, something about being in the closet and, like, talking to your teacher, like, if your parents I don't remember, it's just, like, had all that in there, and she was just like, "Oh" she's in 1st grade, like, "No, my child is not gonna read this," and this was on, like, the suggested, like, books to read, and so, like, that's just another thing you're saying, like, people are like, "Oh, that's not happening," like, yeah, it is, though.
Posted a video the other day of a an author who writes queer books for kids.
Oh my gosh.
And she is going on I'll send you I don't actually I probably can't send it to you because I'm banned from
Yeah.
communicating with people on Instagram. I'll send it to you when I can.
Crazy.
Or you can just find it on my page there.
Yeah.
But she talks about how she had the artist design the cover of the book so parents wouldn't know that it was queer.
Oh my gosh.
I think
Wow.
the beginning of the video is me saying, "So you're intentionally trying to deceive parents."
Yes, that's
And she
horrible.
Yes, you'll have to watch it 'cause, it's terrifying, and it's
Mm.
it's like a novel-looking type of book, so, like, a little kid probably wouldn't read it, but she says this book is for queer kids and teens. And she's just all like, "Ah, la, la, la," like, "Yeah, and I just made it so that,
Wow.
like, the parents wouldn't know that they were gay, but, like but if the kids looked at it, they would clock it." That's what she said.
My gosh, that's horrible. Just pushing it on kids. And imagine a kid that like grabs that who's not even thinking that way. And then all of a sudden now they are because they read that book. Like
Now, I would
horrible.
hope that a book like that would be in the queer section, if you will.
Yeah.
Uh, I would hope that that's where it would be, and kids wouldn't, unless they're searching for that type of material, they wouldn't be able to
Hmm.
find it. But she came out and said that.
Wow.
I know.
That's horrible.
I know. I know. And people talk about book banning and why it's wrong. It's like, I would ban that. That's Of
Yeah.
course I would ban that, especially like in my daddy's belly. Like, listen, if
Mm-mm.
that's the route you take, whatever. But at the end of the day, you are confusing the children.
Hmm. Yes. Those
No, thank
books
you.
should not be read to kids. They should have normal kid books. Like it should have be nothing about that.
I know. And it, again, it makes me sad for the parents that think that it's not happening, or they're turning a blind eye to it for some strange reason. Here's the thing, if any of my kids grew up and they wanted to do this, I would be fully supportive. I would tell them they need to wait till they're an adult to make those decisions. If that's the choice that you want to make, I fully support you. No problem. I love my gay friends, I love my trans friends. Period. If you make those choices when you're an adult, it's totally fine. But until then, I would never medically intervene. I would no frickin' way would I do that.
Mm-mm.
Never, ever, ever, ever. If my kids end up gay, awesome, cool. I don't hate. I'm not gonna hate my kids because of that. But I'm also not gonna introduce ideology to them when they're frickin' tiny little children,
No, none of that should be pushed on them when they're kids
especially
because
in the
then
school system.
you're implanting that in them, and so you're already creating that instead of just letting them be kids and live their life, you know?
And figuring it out on their own.
Yeah,
I have to obviously teach them about satanic pedophiles. I don't have time to teach them ideology too.
crazy.
I know. It's like that people actually freaking think that, but whatever. It's just, that's just the world that we live in, but it's refreshing to hear it from teachers, and
Mhm,
I think more teacher people should be like you, and just put it out there.
mhm.
So,
I feel like more teachers will probably start coming around to that.
yeah, I think. Well, I mean, even someone like me, like I say, I'm just a normal straight white woman. I think
Mhm,
people that are like me are scared to put these types of information or ideas or thoughts out into the world because they're scared of the backlash. And I was for a long time too, but I just decided, actually it was the day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated. I just decided, you know what? Fuck it. I am just going to speak about what I think, and if people want to hate me for it, that's fine. I just don't care
mhm.
anymore. I just don't care anymore. And then my Instagram just exploded from
Yeah.
being a salty cunt. That's
Well,
what I'm
like y
calling it.
mhm. Well, like you said, I feel like we have this space to connect with other people who are, like, feeling that way, but maybe they're not outspoken about it or they just have that same thought, and that's, a beautiful part of this space is that we are able to connect all over the world and just share, similar views, which is awesome.
Yeah. Yes, I think it's awesome too.
Mhm.
I'm very accepting of all sides. Like I said, one of my really good friends, she's a lefty for the resty, and that's okay. I think that it's important to have conversation, to voice your opinion. I don't hate anyone for what they believe. That's what you believe. That's how you're perceiving this situation to be, and that's okay. I don't agree with you. Absolutely do
Yeah.
not agree with you, but it's okay that you think that way. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I'm not going to hate anyone for their thoughts. I completely obviously disagree, and you know,
Yeah.
uh but I just think that some people does that they take the hate too far.
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay to have a difference of opinions, but you shouldn't be, like, wishing ill or harm or any of that towards somebody else just because they have different views than you.
Yeah. Yeah, 100, like
I
a
think some
100.
people take it way too harsh.
Yeah, I get called fat and ugly at least 5 times a week. I always laugh and I'm like, "Listen, for 44, I think I look pretty good." I'm like, "My skin's still pretty tight, I don't have that many like a few little wrinkles, but, I don't think I'm that
Well,
ugly, I might be a little fat, but,
that's another thing too, is when they don't have, like, an argument, they just, like, try to cut you with words because 'cause they're like, "Well, I don't know how to argue this, so I'm
Yeah,
ticked.
so
I'm just
I'm
gonna yeah,
yeah,
I'm
I
just
get
gonna
a
cut you
call.
down."
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it, and I have I think as you age, you just get thicker skin and you just don't give a shit. You're just like, "Ah, okay, you can think that about me." I, like, literally do not care at all,
Well,
so
half
you
these
just
people
have
are
at
just
her.
like bots behind the computer anyway, so it's like, you're
Keyboard
probably
warriors. Yeah,
sad yeah, you probably are not happy about your life, so I'm not, like, worried about you. I'm gonna keep living my life and being
yeah,
happy and
yeah. I spend a
not
lot
gonna
of
worry
time
about that.
blocking people that are just vile. I'm like, "You know what? You don't need to
Yeah.
be here. Click." And the other thing too is if I'm on social media and I scroll by something that I don't necessarily agree with, I just scroll.
Yes, same.
I don't
Like, it
attack the
doesn't phase
person.
me. I'm like, "I don't really agree with that, but whatever." Like, it doesn't
Yep, keep
phase me. I'm
going.
not gonna sit there. But, yeah, I'm gonna go find the people that do resonate with, that share them. "Oh my gosh, yeah, like, I totally agree with that." Like, that's where I like to put my energy is,
Yeah.
vibing with other people who have similar views. I'm not gonna sit here and waste my time on somebody that's, like, saying something I don't agree with. I'm just gonna keep continue. But then, yeah, like, there are some people that they just thrive off trying to argue with you online or, like, cut you down, like, they love
Yes.
it. And so, yeah. Just
Yes.
ignoring them is, like, the best thing.
Yeah, ignoring or blocking them. I
Yeah.
made a post a while ago. It ended up going viral. It was just the most ghetto post. It's the ones that you just put out because it's just a thought that people are like, "Ah!"
Yeah, I
And
think that too.
yeah, I talked about going into the grocery store that I don't normally go into, but I was, like, checking out the price of produce, and these strawberries were 7.50. I was like, "This is freaking insane." And I said to the lady that was standing next to me, I was like, "Oh, these strawberries are so expensive." And she goes, "Oh, you can thank Donald Trump for that." And I was like, "Well, I think I'll blame Mark Carney if I'm going to be blaming anybody because he was the one that runs our country." And anyways, the post ended up going viral, but it was so funny the things that people were saying, like just how nasty they got about
Mm,
the silly post. And
about strawberries.
your prime minister doesn't make the prices of strawberries. I was like, well, he sets monetary policy, so he kind of affects the prices of strawberries if we want to get technical about it. It's not Donald Trump doesn't set our monetary policy. So I don't know why anyone like all you freaking like Canadians have TDS. Like he has nothing to do with our grocery prices. Just so you know, like he doesn't set them. Oh, well, they're tariffed. I'm like, well, actually, produce is not tariffed, but like you guys sound so. Do some research
Yeah.
before you come here and start being crazy. And then just people like, you sound stupid. And I'm like, I sound
It's
stupid
just
for
the news and media. They want us divided. They want us fighting this way and that way so we don't look, where we should be looking.
where we should be
That's a
looking.
whole 'nother thing. Yeah, but yeah, the whole, like, fighting over sides, it's like, why are we not just, like, all coming together? Like, we should be raising heck against them instead of fighting back and forth, which is that's what
Well,
they want. That's why they always put all these things out because you either feel one way or another about it, and they want you fighting.
Look, if we look at, for instance, so the Epstein files get released, then the fraud in Minnesota gets exposed. What happened in Minnesota after that fraud got exposed? Complete fucking chaos. Complete chaos. People are like trying to fight the ICE agents. The ICE agents are killing people.
Jeez,
Like
yeah.
all this crazy stuff happens. And it's just interesting that it happened right when the fraud got exposed. So let's create chaos so they forget that this
Yeah,
happened.
yeah.
I bet
That's
you the same
always
thing
the
will happen
game.
in. Same thing's gonna happen in
Mhm.
California because Nick Shirley is exposing this stuff in California now too. So it's like something crazy is gonna happen there. You can just see a pattern. You can just see the patterns. It's just
Mhm.
what it is. Anyways, that's a whole other
Yeah.
rabbit hole to dive down. I think that's a good
Yes.
place to wrap up.
Yeah.
Sarah, tell everybody what you've got going on for the next year and how they can find you.
Just homeschooling, living life, trying to grow our farm and garden. We want to be self-sufficient as possible, um, growing my business and doing all the things because I like this whole topic. I want my son to have more choices and freedom, and I don't want him to be tied to a path. And I don't want to be stuck in a system that doesn't care about families at all. So that's what we are working on.
I love that, I love that.
Mhm.
So everybody who wants to connect with Sarah, her social media links will be below on YouTube and on Spotify. In the show notes, they'll be everywhere, wherever the podcast gets linked to. Uh, Message us. I always say this at the end of every show. If you guys made it to the end of the show, thank you for staying with us the whole time. We appreciate that. We want you to let us know what you think. So, um, shoot us a message. Tell us what you think. If you have questions or you want to, explore this lifestyle, if you're in the US and you're looking to homeschool, Sarah would be a great resource to ask questions to. And that is about it for today. Thank you so much for everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.